What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today, Gemrate data for the month of December. We did the emergent graders, the small time, the small fish, the small fry in yesterday's video. Led off with that one, since Gemrate does not publish those numbers publicly. Here we sit with the big boys. And boy, oh boy, massive numbers continue. For the month of December, PSA 1.23 million. SGC 123,000. CGC 120,000. More on them in a minute. And Beckett just kind of floating around down there at 52,000. What we've seen from the last few months, you could dive into the year-over-year numbers if you want to, but as we kind of move throughout this year, the one thing to keep in mind with the year-over-years is both companies, PSA and SGC, had massive jump ups in capacity this year. PSA started cranking 1.2 million early part of the year, I believe, once New Jersey became fully online. And SGC, they hit their stride at that 120K number. Also at the end of the first quarter, I believe. I pulled this up and was scrolling back. I think they hit that number for the first time in March of 2023. They did 121K. January was 80K, then 92, 120, 94, just under 90, 97, 95, 120, 115, 129, and then PSA, they clipped up to 1.2 million in March and April for the first time that they really hit those numbers, and then really the back half of the year, since the national, really 1.2, 1.2, 1.2, 1.13 in November and 1.2 in December. So very consistent numbers out of them the last 6 months, and really the same for SGC since the national. August 118, September 115, October 129, November 120, and 123 in December. So it's pretty clear to say that those are probably, I'm going to guess, where those companies kind of cap out at. I'm sure SGC could probably crank out a little bit more per month if they wanted to, since they have such quick turnaround times. But basically anything in that 120 to, let's call it 130K range seems to be about where they've been sitting. PSA around 1.2 million-ish seems to be where they are sitting. Once again, TCG makes up a bulk of this. We'll look at the individual breakdown numbers really quick here. Sports, 635,000 for PSA, 110 for SGC, 29 for Beckett, and then here's the shocking one. CGC with only 6,000 in sports, a 72% drop month over month is a astronomical nosedive. That is a yikes number, if you ask me. On the TCG side of things / non-sport, PSA comes in with a cool 600K, and then they were up slightly month over month. Everybody else dropped off pretty significantly. 20% drop for CGC, but still very strong. As weak as they are in sports, they are clear-cut number 2 when it comes to TCG. Beckett in at 23,000 and SGC in at 13,000. Big year-over-year increase. That is once again to be expected. They have made some strides and some pricing changes in the TCG marketplace. One other thing I kind of wanted to talk about when it comes to CGC is, and just kind of overall, this is the Gemrates by era data. So, and funnily enough, this always cracks me up when you actually look at these numbers. So everyone talks about how, SGC is the toughest and most accurate grader, and that PSA is the most inaccurate and loosest, and they just hand out 10s left and right. PSA on sports is in at 51.1%. SGC is at 53.4%. So from that perspective, they're pretty much right there. SGC is actually ever so slightly easier, at least in the month of December. Beckett comes in at 48%, which is actually kind of surprising given their loosey-goosey nature with the subgrades that you can kind of squeak things through that you can't typically. Here's the eye-opening one. CGC sports cards coming in at 23.5% gem rate. That is really a major outlier when you look at this compared to the other companies. Like, how is Ultra Modern grading that low? And I pinged Gemrate and asked them for a little bit more information. And 71% of their Ultra Modern cards, so 2020s and newer, grade at a 9 or lower based off the December numbers. That just seems crazy to me. I don't know if, like, are their submissions being dominated by ComC cards? Are people just sending them PC stuff and they don't necessarily care about the grade? They just want it encapsulated. I know I've done that. I've sent plenty of Marvel card in that I knew was going to get like an 8 to 9 and I didn't care. I just wanted it encapsulated. Maybe that's what's going on there. I don't know. But that just seems like a major outlier compared to everybody else. Let's go back to the top level here and just kind of talk about generally kind of where we're at right now with grading. Let's work from the bottom up. Beckett, 52,000. They're just not, they are not the, I want to send my silver CJ Stroud in to get slabbed up. That's just not the company and the business model that they want to run, no matter what we all want. I mean, you could really speculate on what kind of company and business model they actually want to run, given their absolute silence on everything. Their biggest problems are their turnaround times are absolutely atrocious, and they're way too expensive. For what it costs to grade there, you should be getting your cards back a lot faster. They are basically becoming the boutique grader. When you looked at the Gemrate numbers, we did that video about a month ago where it kind of showed what cards are going where. If you have a high value 90s, 2000, low pop insert or RPAs, that sort of things, those go to Beckett. Now, can they run a sustainable, long-lasting business with that? 52,000 cards a month isn't nothing. I'm guessing if they were content with that and their coffers are getting full and the books are in the green at the end of the month and everyone's content, then their board or whoever runs the company there, the CEO, whatever, will be perfectly fine. They're not putting any, or at least it appears that they're not putting any direct investment into the company, at least forward facing. So they might just be happy plucking along, doing their 90s and 2000s inserts and higher value cards from those 2 decades when they were dominant. A lot of cards still live in those slabs, and they still get a lot of those cards in. We'll see what they got cooking for 2023. I'll be doing a formal predictions video. I'm sorry, for 2024. I'll be doing a formal predictions video for 2024, kind of laying out top 5 or whatever it is. I got to formalize the list, and it will be very grading centric, most likely. But we'll talk more about them there. CGC, 120,000. Obviously getting dominated by the TCG non-sport side. Sport seems to really be struggling. The biggest thing I would like to see out of them are, the last time I used them, which was about, was that Otani Ellie De La Cruz order, about 2 months ago, maybe a month ago. Their turnaround times were way slower than what they were advertised. I paid for the one service up from bulk, and it still took an extra, I think, 10 to 20 business days to get that back because they got tied up with that repack order that they were doing, and it seems like that volume's starting to trickle off. I still like CGC for PC. They are my favorite to go to for my Marvel cards that I want slabbed up and other things like that, because to me, the cards present the best in their slab. The path I would really like to see them ramp up Signature Series. I've been saying this for a year now. I think Signature Series is their path that they could really carve out a good niche. They've obviously been doing it with comic books forever. They have dabbled in it in the card side. I'm waiting for my Jim Lee cards to come back. That signing was complete a couple weeks ago, actually almost a month ago, right after Thanksgiving. And there's been no movement on that last time I looked. It would be nice if, in my opinion, those Signature Series cards should be getting priority service back. You send them in way ahead of time for the signing. As soon as the signing is complete, those should go towards the top of the pile. I think they advertise 6 to 8 weeks maybe post signing. So hopefully I see some movement on that soon. But they really need to be leveraging Signature Series. I think it's their #1 path forward to get people to use them, get the slabs in people's hands. And it's a unique service that they offer that nobody else does. I would love to see more artists. It opened up to more artists, more celebrities. And also I would like to see them potentially do this on the sports side of things. It would be really cool to send stuff in for that, especially for athletes that don't sign a lot or maybe aren't in a lot of product. Have them in for in-person signing events where you could send the card in, get it slabbed up, and move on. I think that is their path forward. SGC continues to just churn. Turnaround times, customer service are their biggest wins. I will continue to say it until I'm blue in the face. I would like to see a new slab out of them, but in the meantime, they are everyone's go-to for a quick churn and burn. And then obviously for vintage, they are a major player as well. PSA 1.23 million. I would have to imagine we see some type of ultra modern special later today. I believe the current special ran out yesterday or today. They went the whole holiday season on their little scratch off things without giving us anything for ultra modern. And I've heard from multiple different people in regards to turnaround times on orders that they have out there, that bulk orders are turning around fairly quickly. So I am wondering if they are priming us for an ultra modern special. We will see if I have a video later this afternoon laying out whatever the details are on that. Gemrate is planning on doing a wrap up for the year of 2023. We'll probably do a video on that. I think that's coming out actually later tonight. I'll probably save that video for later in the week or maybe early next week just to give a little bit of break on the grading chit chat. If you guys, boys and girls, want it sooner than that, fire away in the comments down below. I'll get it recorded and up. I already got some other content in the pipeline, but it can be moved around. It's nothing super critical. And like I said, I need to get my thoughts together for a formal predictions video for 2024, but I'll be very curious to see what these numbers look like 1 year from today. Do you think, is PSA still grading 1.23 million a year from now? Is SGC still grading 123,000? Are we higher or lower? And I kind of want to focus the conversation on those two specifically, since they pertain mostly on the sports card side right now. Do we think their numbers overall end up higher or lower by the time we get to the end of 2023? Or do you think grading will slow down slightly? That's all I got for you boys and girls today. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments. Go check out Gemrate's information over on Instagram, and the website that he has, along with Universal Search, has been a great tool to have in my back pocket for stuff like this. Catch you boys and girls in the next one. Peace.